Gloria, grace, grace, from the Latin gratia. Grace is one of the virtue names and was enormously popular with the Puritans, along with similar names such as mercy and patience. Hello, welcome to your baby name consultation. So excited for you too. Oh, well, we like to help you out here in Tingledom to figure out what name you might want for your next child. Obviously, feel free to ignore any of my suggestions as well. So, what I have, basically what we'll be doing today, is we have this book. It's 1,107 baby names that stand the test of time. Because we all know there are certain names that come and go, and you maybe wonder, that makes them feel very old to have a particular name, or, maybe when they get a bit older it's not quite as fashionable. Well, these are all wonderful names that should last them their whole life and be able to be proud and honored for the name that they have. So, do you know whether you're having a boy or a girl? Okay, well, that's okay. We can either go through both genders, or we can start on one list and then work on another, and we could have, multiple sessions here. Okay. Wonderful then. Why don't you find then if we start with the girls' names? Cool. So, the great thing about this book I really like is it also has variations and the meaning of names. So I'm just going to start reading through the names, and just let me know when we come across anything that really strikes your fancy, okay? So we've got Aaliyah, Abigail, alternatives. Oh, it's interesting. So I'll just give you an example. So if we look at Abigail, it gives us the kind of little background on the name. Extremely popular in colonial times, Abigail fell out of favor in the early 1900s, but has come roaring back. Now it is one of the most popular names out there. At the time of writing, it was in the top 10. It's a name that suggests reliability, if you think Abigail Adams, and Dear Abby. But it's also pretty, feminine, and melodic. Abigail, like the word nightingale. In the Old Testament, Abigail is David's third wife. The name means a father's joy, or giver of joy. So you can also use the nicknames Abby, Gail, and then they suggest alternatives such as Amelia, Lydia, Clara, Tabitha. Yeah, so you can kind of find themes within names. Yeah, that's fine if you're not keen on Abigail. I just wanted to give you an idea of how the naming works. Okay? We have Ada, Addison, Adelaide. It's a lovely name, isn't it? We have King William IV of England to thank for the popularity in English of this German name. When the king married German Princess Adelaide in 1818, interest in the name surged. The city of Adelaide in Australia was named for the Queen in 1836, spreading the name even further afield. Adelaide, noble, is a name that had all but disappeared and is now being rediscovered. No wonder it's lilting, feminine, and a clever alternative to more popular choices like Abigail and Amelia. And the name even has its own lullaby. You can serenade her with Adelaide from the musical Guys and Dolls. So you want to put that on your list. Okay, so I just have my pen and paper here, and we'll write down the names that you like. Adelaide. So variations are Adeline, Adele, Adela, Adelina. It's cute, isn't it? Nicknames are Ada, Addie, Della, Deli, Lady, and Heidi. Alternatives are Clementine, Philippa, Imogen, Edwina, Beatrice, and Lydia. Now let's continue on through our names. We have Adriana, Agatha. I know I can only think of Agatha Christie. Agnes, a little old-fashioned perhaps. Aida, the heroine of one of Verdi's most beloved operas. Aida is an Ethiopian princess enslaved in Egypt and in love with one of the pharaoh's confidants, Radames. The name is Arabic in origin, meaning visitor. It is often used by African American families to celebrate African roots, as well as by Italian American families to pay tribute to Verdi. Arabic families who use the name or variations on it often pronounce it with 2 syllables, Ida, rather than 3, Aida. Variations are Aita, Ada. Alternatives are Ida, Candace, Iman, Aisha, Tosca. Let's continue on. Eileen, Amy, Ainsley, Aisha, Akira, Elena, like the name Elena, means precious and is closely related to Elaine, Alana, and ultimately Helen. Elena is a sweeter alternative to Elaine. Sounds more continental and less girl next door. Nicknames are Lainey, Lena, or Allie. And your alternatives would be Ilona, Elodie, Lacey, Adina. So spelled Laina. Is that how you like it? I prefer it with the Y. Yeah, they do have that alternate spelling. Alexandra, very classic name. Alexis, Alice, Alicia, Alina, Alicia, Olivia. This is a contrasting to Olivia, Olivia. So a bit of a creative spelling. Eliza with an A. Allegra. This is the word on this. I just have to read this. I know you don't look that keen on this name. I'm not saying that. Is there a cheerier name out there? I don't know it. Allegra means happy in Italian. Got Allison, Alma, Alondra. It's a nice name, isn't it? Alondra is pretty and unusual name with many angles to it. The word is lark in Spanish. Londres, is London in French, and the name evokes Alexandra and Ilona. It's hard to come by rich, meaningful lyrical names that are not overused. This is one of them. Okay, Alyssa, Amanda, Amani, Amara, Amber, Amelia, America, Amy. Yeah, it is a nice classic name. Amy could be Jennifer's sister, and in many cases she probably is. It's a name whose heyday can be charted with near carbon dating precision. Amy was one of the names of the 1970s and has since fallen precipitously in usage. The name is still a good, solid one, meaning beloved, from the Latin amare. If you like the idea of Amy but think it's too dated, you could consider an alternate spelling, A-I-M-E-E or A-I-M-I-E. I don't really like those. Or consider a similar but much less common alternative like Esme. Esme's nice, isn't it? So put Amy down. Got Anahi, Anastasia, Andrea, Angela, Anne, Anya. Lovely, isn't it? A Russian take on the traditional Anna. Anya is also a Sanskrit name meaning inexhaustible. Anya is a prime choice for parents who are considering Anna or Emma but want something a little more unusual. The twisting sound the y makes offers intrigue. Anya. It's lovely. Okay. So we've got Adelaide, Elena, Amy, Anya. April, Arabella, Araceli, Aria, Ariana, Ariel, Ashanti, Ashley, which used to be only a men's name, Aspen, Astrid, Athena. It's a lovely name, Athena. The Greek goddess of the hunt, wisdom, and war. Athena is often depicted wearing a helmet, dressed in armor, and accompanied by an owl. The city of Athens is named for her. This name is a powerful, yet traditional and pretty one that bestows strength, smarts, and independence. Yeah, you can't go past that, can you? Audrey, Augusta, Aurelia. It's a lovely name, isn't it? Aurora. Makes me think of Princess Aurora from Sleeping Beauty. Autumn, Ava, Avery, Ayla, and Azul. It's our last A name, so you ready to look into B now? I know, there are a lot of A names. Got Bailey, Barbara, Beatrice, Belen, Belinda, Bella, Bernadette, Bethany, Bettina, Bianca, Brenda, Brenna, Brianna, Bridget, or Bristol, Brittany, Bronwyn. It's a nice name, isn't it? Bronwyn is Welsh and means white breast. It's one of the fair lady names like Guinevere that evokes the pastoral rambles of old England. Bronwyn is the heroine of the classic Welsh novel, How Green Was My Valley. If you like Gwyneth but worry it's too Hollywood, Bronwyn might be a better fit. Okay. Got Brooke, Bryn, Cadence, Caitlin, Callie, Cameron. What's that for a girl? Cameron Diaz, Camilla, Campbell, Candace, Cara, Carla, Carly, Carmen, Carol, Casey, Cassandra. Lovely name, isn't it? Catherine, Cecilia, Celeste, Jana, Chandel, Charity. Comes from the same root as cherish, meaning dear. The word itself has come to mean benevolence, generosity, and a selfless love. It is a virtue name, so it goes well with other names like Grace and Hope. An old-fashioned choice, it got a bump in the 1970s, perhaps in response to the musical Sweet Charity. And perhaps it has a hippie love child appeal that's in keeping with the age of Aquarius. Charlie, it's a cute name for a girl. Charlotte, a feminization of Charles, which means free man. Charlotte is a good, solid, traditional name, making a comeback along with Isabel, Hannah, and Emma. And others you see in American colonial era graveyards. Charlotte has royal ties and literary flavor as well. There's the famous Victorian writer Charlotte Bronte, author of Jane Eyre, and also the enterprising spider of E.B. White's beloved children's novel, Charlotte's Web. In France, rocker Charlotte Gainsbourg gives the name a cool factor. In the US, it's a bit more prim. Think of the buttoned-up TV character from Sex in the City. Like Charlotte. It's a nice name, isn't it? Got Chastity, Jaya, Chelsea, Cheyenne, Kiara, Chloe, Christine, Claire, Claudia, nice name. Clementine, Colette. It's a very old feel to me, but it is a lovely name. Cornelia, Courtney, Cynthia. Now into our D names. We have Daphne, Dahlia, Daisy, very cute. Dakota. Dakota means friend in the Sioux language. The Dakota are an American Indian nation for whom North and South Dakota were named. The Dakota is the historic New York City building that John Lennon lived in and died in front of. It was so named because at the time it was built, it was considered to be so far away from the action of Midtown and downtown New York that it may as well been in the frontier. Dakota was barely known before the 1980s when it started appearing on the charts. The young actress Dakota Fanning has raised the profile of the name. Also got Damaris, Dania, Danielle, Daphne, Dara, Daria, Deborah, Deidre, Delphine, Denise, Desiree, Diane, Dixie, Juna, Doe, Dominique, Donna, Doris, what about Dorothy, Dulcie, Dylan. Not too big fan of the big D names. Now into our E's. Eden, Edith, Eileen, come on, Eileen, Elaine, Eleanor, Elena. It is a nice name, isn't it? The Italian and Spanish version of Helen. Eliana, Elizabeth, obviously a classic. Ella, Ellen, Elodie, Eloise, Elsa. Well, a variation of Elizabeth. Elsa was made famous by Joy Adamson in her 1960 memoir, and the film based on it, Born Free. Adamson and her husband raised Elsa in an orphan lion club in Kenya and then returned her to her bride, a darling, slightly Germanic-sounding alternative to Ella. So there's the name. Elise, Emily, Emma. It's a nice name, isn't it? Enid, Erica, Erin, Esme, Estella, Eugenia, Ava. Ava is from Eve and means life, a short and sweet classic that has trendy appeal. Ends with an ah sound and contains an exotic letter in the letter V. It can be pronounced Ava, Eva, or Eva. It may be the ambiguous pronunciation that propelled its phonetic sister, Ava, AVA, which has only one pronunciation. To the head of the pack, Ava is a name that suggests serenity and balance. We've also got Evelyn. Into our F's, we have Faith, Fanny, Farah, Fatma, Faye, Felicia, Fern, Fernanda, Fidelia, Finley, Fiona. Beautiful names. Fiona comes from Fionn Mac Camail, aka Finn. This is a hero of old Irish legend. Story of Finn's band of warrior poets have existed since the 3rd century. The 18th century poet James Macpherson wrote an epic poem about Finn, furthering interest. Like Finn, Fiona means fair. It is from Finn that we get Sinn Féin, the Irish nationalist organization. Fiona became mainstream in the US in the 1990s. For Fiona lovers who want something a bit off the beaten trail, there's Finola, which means white shoulders, and Finella. And you get V out of that. Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it? Okay, so we'll write Fiona. Then Flora, Florence, Francis, Frida. Then into our G's we have Gabriella, Gemma, Genesis, Genevieve, Georgia, Gertrude, Jacinta, but spelled with a G, Giada, Gianna, Jillian, Gina, Giovanni. Gazelle, Grace. It's a lovely name, isn't it? From the Latin gratia, Grace is one of the virtue names and enormously popular with the Puritans, along with similar names like Mercy and Patience. Considered frowsy and old-fashioned in the 1970s, Grace is now as beloved as it was in the late 1800s. The Graces of Greek and Roman mythology were goddesses of beauty and charm. Also called the Charities, Greek writer Hesiod gave them names: Thalia, Agalia, and Euphrosyne. The name Grace got a boost in 1838 when Grace Darling, the daughter of a lighthouse keeper in England, helped her father rescue 9 people from a shipwreck in a raging storm. Grace Kelly livened up the name in the 1950s and 60s, and singer Grace Jones gave it a cool, strong edge in the 1980s. In the 1990s and 2000s, sitcom Will and Grace coincided with the name's revival. We've also got Greer, Greta, Gwendolyn, Gwyneth. No. Oh, you did Grace. Okay. I didn't write Grace down. Then into our H's. We've got Hadley, Haley, Hannah, Harley, Harmony, Harper, Harriet, Haven, Hayden, Hazel, Heather, Heidi, Helen, Henrietta, Hermione, Hillary, Holly, Honor, and Hope. You like your Grace names, don't you? Virtue name, should I say. According to the Bible, faith, hope, and charity are the 3 theological virtues, meaning they are bestowed by God. Virtue names are coming back, and this is one that never left. Excuse me. Hope means expectation, and it has a timeless quality. It is demure, understated, and elegant, expected to be around for a long time. Now into our eyes. Eliana, Ilona, Imani, India, Ines, Ingrid, Ireland. Irene means peace in Greek. This name was used by a goddess of peace, a wife of Constantine, and a Byzantine empress, so it goes way back. It used to be pronounced with 3 syllables, Irene, but now it's just 2, Irene. The French pronunciation is nice as well, Irene, and the Russian version is popular, Irina. We've also got Iris, Isabella, Isis, Itzel, Ivy. That finishes up our eyes. Maybe we should just have a bit of a break, get a spot of tea, and then we can push through. Okay, so far we've got Adelaide, Elena, Amy, Anya, Athena, Bronwyn, Charlotte, Ava, Fiona, Grace, and Hope. Well, if she's a girl, I think she'll be named quite well. I think you have good taste. So, let us go. We'll get a spot of tea, and then we'll come back and get through the rest of the alphabet for our girls. So let's see. So we had Adelaide, Elena, Amy, Anya, Athena, Bronwyn, Charlotte, Ava, Fiona, Grace, and Hope. Lovely names, but we're only halfway through the alphabet. Hope you enjoyed your tea. I know those tingleberry teas are amazing, aren't they? Also make my job easier. This next point just makes it a little easier for you to get some tingles. Okay, so let's see, where were we up to? We had done hope. We're up to J? Okay. In our girls. So we've got a lot of nice J names. Jacqueline, Jade. Jade is the precious green stone from Asia. In China, the word jade means treasure because it is one of the most beloved, prized substances in the world. The Chinese call it the stone of heaven and believe it symbolizes everything good, from loyalty and wisdom to beauty and immortality. In the Western world, associations are less favorable. The word jade comes from the Spanish for stone of the flank, as jade was believed to cure intestinal distress. The word in English means a broken down horse or a nagging woman, or to become hardened and wearied, jaded. However, shortly after Mick Jagger named his daughter Jade in the 1970s, the name took off. Now, even more popular than Jade are its variations, Jada, and mostly for boys, Jaden. Jada, Jaeda, is an unrelated Arabic name whose merits will sadly go unappreciated in a world filled with Jadas, and Jadens. Okay, let's see, where did I? Oh, there's the pen. Okay, so put Jade down. It does have a nice meaning, doesn't it? Also got Jamie, Jane, Jasmine, Jaden, Jemima, Jenna, Jennifer, which of course has the name Jenny as well, Jessica, Jill, Jimena, Joanna, Jocelyn, Jolie, Jordan, Josephine, Journey, that's a pretty new one actually, Joy. You really do like your virtues, don't you? Joy to the world. Joy is a name of expansive happiness, glee, exaltation. In the old days, joy was a religious name, at home alongside faith, hope, and charity. Now it has cast off that mantle as simply a celebration of life and happiness. Now let's see, what else do we have? Joyce, Judith, Julia, June. Yeah, does make me think of The Handmaid's Tale as well. Justice. Found one that's too serious for you. Justine. On to our K's. We have Caitlin, Callie, Kara, Karen, Carla, Karma, Cassandra. That's a lovely name. Cassandra is a tragic heroine from Greek mythology. She was the daughter of King Priam of Troy, on whom Apollo bestowed the gift of prophecy. When she burned his affections, he cursed her, ensuring that nobody would believe her predictions. Despite her inauspicious history, her name has been beloved. It's a lovely name. So you do put that one down. with the K? You like it? I think it's lovely with a K. Cassidy, Catherine, very classic name. Kayla, Keely, Kira, Kelly, Kelsey, Kendall, Kendra, Kenna, Kennedy, Kenya, Kezia. It's a cute name. Kezia is an uncommon but traditional name that's a clever alternative to the increasingly popular Kenzie, short for Mackenzie. Kezia, along with Jemima and Karen, was one of the biblical Job's late-born daughters. Kezia was born after Job's troubles had abated. That, coupled with the names meaning cassia, which is a tree with yellow flowers, suggests only good things. Yeah. Let's see, cassia. Let's have Kiana, Kiara, Kimberly, Kimora, Kinsley, Kristen, Kylie. Into our L's we have Lacey, Layla, Lena, Lainey, Lara, Laura, Leah. In the Bible's book of Genesis, Jacob is promised that he can marry beautiful Rachel if he labors for 7 years. The night after his wedding, he realizes he's been tricked into marrying Rachel's older, tired sister Leah. He finally marries Rachel too, but has to work another 7 years afterward. An ugly story for a beautiful name. Others are nicer. In England, the Leah is a meadow, and many names end on that sound. In Hawaii, Leah is the native goddess of canoe making. Some parents who want to make sure the name is pronounced with 2 syllables instead of 1 go with the alternative spelling of L-I-A. Yeah, it's a very nice classic name. Let's see what we got. Lida, Leilani, Lena, Leslie, Letitia, Liana, Libby, Liberty, Lila, Lillian, Linda, Lindsay, Lisa, Livia. That's cute. Livia is a short for the immensely fashionable name Olivia. Some parents are choosing this cropped variation to separate their lives from the pack. In ancient times, the name came from the Roman last name Livius. The modern version of the name suggests liveliness, with the clear live being out front, and extends a branch of peace with the olive connection. One of the characters in James Joyce's novel Finnegan's Wake was Livia, and the name does have a whiff of Ireland to it. It's evocative of the River Liffey, which runs through Dublin. Dublin, shall I say. You like Livia? It's cute, isn't it? Logan. I think of it more as a boy's name, but could be a cute name. Lola, London, Lorelei, Lorna, Louise, Lucy, Luna, Luz, Lydia. We have a lovely Lydia here. She's amazing. Lynn, Lyric. Yeah, people use the name, apparently. And to our M's. We have Maple, Mackenzie, Macy, Madeline, Madison, Maeve, Magdalena, Maisie, McKenna, Malia, very popular nowadays, Mallory, Mara, Marin, Margaret, Maria, very classic. It's a lovely name, isn't it? Maria is the Mediterranean version of Mary. In Shakespeare's day, the name was pronounced Mariah, whereas now it's more commonly pronounced Maria. Maria is a deeply traditional and religious name, but it sounds utterly modern. The name exists in Islam as well. Maria was a wife of Muhammad. It trips poetically off the tongue, reminding us of the sound of music. How do you solve a problem like Maria? West Side Story, Tony's Love, the subject of the song, Maria. Opera diva, Maria Callas, and the soaring hymn, Ave Maria. Singer Mariah Carey brought the old fashioned pronunciation back into the mainstream. Variations Marie and Marion are considered dated, but Marion, the heroine of Robin Hood and Raiders of the Lost Ark, as well as one of Sarah Jessica Parker's twins, may make a comeback. I've also got Marley, Martha, Mary, very classic, Matilda, Maud, Mavis, Maya, Meadow. I love that name. I know it can be a little out there for some people. Megan, Melanie, Melissa, Melody, Mercedes, Meredith, Mia, Micah, Michaela, it's a lovely name, Strong and Mighty. Michaela takes her name from Michael, one of the great names of the Bible. In Christianity, Michael is the warrior archangel, the commander of the army of the Lord, winged, clad in armor, sword in hand, ready for battle. He is the patron saint of soldiers. In Jewish tradition, Michael is the defender of Israel. He is an angel at the left hand of God in Islamic tradition. Michaela is edgier than the more traditional Michelle. It has been used in the US since 1967 and became quite popular in the 1990s when the TV series Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman was airing. Michaela Quinn. Yeah, it is a lovely name. Michaela. Then Michelle, Milagros, Miley, Millicent, Mina, Mira, Miracle, Miranda, Mariah, Miriam, Moira, Molly, Mona, Monica, Montserrat, Morgan, Mila. Mila is a popular mashup of popular names Maya and Miley, with a little Mia thrown in for good measure. Mila has been in use since 2005 and is growing in popularity. It is unlikely to be related to the boy's name Miles, which means soldier, and is sometimes linked to Michael. You like Mila? Okay. On to our N names. Let's see. You've got Nadia, Naima, Nancy, Naomi, Natalie, Natasha, Nivea, Nia, that's a cute name, Nicole, Nina, Noelle, Nola, Nora, Norma, Nyla. No N names. Okay. Into O. We have Octavia. Sounds very regal, doesn't it? Comes from the octavus, or 8 in Latin. In the 19th century, this name, or its male part, Octavian, was used for the 8th child in a family. Octavia is related to Augusta. Both names evoke Augustus Caesar, who was also referred to as Octavian, and whose sister was Octavia. The name also connotes musicality because of the octave. Yeah, you like Octavia? Olive, Olivia, very cute. Olympia, Una, Opal. Then into our P names, Paige, Paisley, Paloma, Pamela, Paris, Parker, Patience. I knew you would like Patience. Of course. Patience is a virtue and also back in style. The name all but disappeared after the 1800s until a comeback in 1994. Now it's inching its way up the chart. It's nowhere near Grace and Hope and some others, but in an age of tweeting and texting and channel surfing, patience is a nice quality to remember. And if you want to avoid nicknames, it's a good choice. Got Patricia, Paula, Penelope, and the nickname Penny, Perla, Perry, Petra, Peyton, Philippa, Phoebe, Phoenix. Phoenix is invincible. This gorgeous bird of mythology dies in flames and rises from the ashes to live again. It symbolizes hope, perseverance, and rebirth. In Greek mythology, Phoenix was the founder of the Phoenician civilization, and the word means violet red in Greek. The name also calls to mind actors River and Joaquin Phoenix, as well as the city in Arizona. There are more boys named Phoenix than girls, but this may be changing. Like Phoenix. Phyllis, Piper, Presley, Princess, it's a little sweet for me, Priscilla, only one Q name, Quinn, it's cute though, we have Rachel, Raina, Raven, Rebecca, Reese, Regan, Regina, or Regina, Renee. Yeah, you like it. It is coming back. Renee is born again. Truly, Ray means again, and Nay is for French for birth, so it means birth again. Renee is an affirmation of one's Christianity. Famous Renees include opera singer Renee Fleming and actresses Renee Russo and Renee Zellweger. Renee's heyday was in the late 1960s, early 1970s. She's been a little on the slide since then. We have Rhea, Rihanna, Riley, Rita, Roberta, Robin, Rose. Rose is the queen of the garden, was the first flower to become a name, probably because of its association with the Virgin Mary, who is often symbolized by roses. Mary is said to have kissed a white rose on her entrance to heaven, causing the flower to turn red. Roses represent purity and were used to ward off disease and evil in the Middle Ages. The name was most popular around the 1910s, but time has done little to fade its beauty. Today it seems to be the middle name of choice. Is a lovely name, Rose. We've got Rosemary, Rowan, Rowena, Roxanne, Ruby, Ruth, Ryan, and then into our S's. We have Sabrina, Sadie, Sage, Selma, Samantha, Samara, Sana, Sandra, Sarah, Sasha, Saskia, Savannah. The Savannah River in the American South gave its name to two cities, one in Georgia and one in South Carolina. Savannah is a wide open plain. The word sounds like other girls' names. There's some Samantha in there, some Susanna, some Hannah. So it made a good choice for a tweak on some classics. The name was popular in the 19th century, then disappeared for a while, and was revived by the now obscure movie Savannah Smiles in 1982. These days, there are many Savannahs running around the schoolyard. It is a lovely name, isn't it? Got a long list here for you. Scarlett, Celia, Selena, Serena, Shania, Shannon, Sharon, Shayla, Shayna, Shaya, Shelby, Shiloh, Shirley, Sierra, Simone, Sky, Sloan, Sonia, Sophia. It's a cute name, isn't it? And of course, Sophie as well. Stacy, Stella, Stephanie. Stephanie comes from Stephen, which means crown in Greek. Saint Stephen was the first Christian martyr. He was stoned to death for his beliefs as recorded in the Bible's books of Acts. Stephanie has been around for a long time, but the name doesn't sound too common in the way that some traditional ones, such as Catherine or Margaret or Jane, do. Perhaps it's because the name was so intensely trendy in the 1980s. It sounds like it could have stepped out of the Bangles and leg warmer era. You like Stephanie? It's a cute name. Summer, Susan, Sydney, Sylvia. Then into our T's, we have Tabitha, Tamara, Tamsin, Tansy, Tanya, Tara, Tatiana, Tatum, Taylor, Tegan, Taylor. Tailor means, no surprise, one who cuts and fits clothing. It has been a boy's name for hundreds of years, but only since 1979 has it been a girl's name too. This little seamstress shot from obscurity to the top 10 in the mid-1990s, and is now sliding back down. Taylor has a pretty ring to it, thanks to the tay sound up front, and its muted ending gives it a tomboyish quality that appeals to many as well. Be forewarned that the name is unisex. Your girl Taylor may end up dating a boy Taylor, as happened with singer Taylor Swift, female, and actor Taylor Lautner, male. Tegan, oh, you like Taylor? We'll put that one down. Tegan, Teresa, Talia, Tia, Tiana, Tiffany. Oh, did I skip a page? There we go. Tori and Trinity. Then into U's. Ulrika. Never even heard of that. Ursula. Just makes me think of Phoebe's sister and friends. Yeah. Into V's we have Valentina, Valerie, Vanessa, Veronica, Victoria, Viola, Violet. Violet is the color of royalty and mystery, creativity and moodiness. Violets are flowers that signify modesty. This one has Hollywood appeal. Gwyneth Paltrow won her Oscar for portraying Viola de Lesseps in Shakespeare in Love. And Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner named their eldest daughter Violet. It's lovely, isn't it? Virginia, Vivian. Then to our W's, we have Wanda, Wendy, Whitney, Wilhelmina, Willow, that's a cute name, Winifred. With X we have Jimena, Xiomara. With Y we have Yadira, Yamilet, Yasmin, Yesenia, Yolanda, Yvette. And then with Z we have Zahava, Zelda, Zion, Zoe. It is a cute name, Zoe, isn't it? Zoe comes from the Greek and means life. Zoe is a name that sounds too cool to be real, but it is traditional, in use at least the 3rd century AD. Saint Zoe died in Rome in the 200s. Byzantine Empress Zoe lived during the 400s and is commemorated in gorgeous gold mosaics in Istanbul's Hagia Sophia. Zoe was considered exotic until the 1980s when it rediscovered and shot way in popularity. Actresses Zoe Caldwell and Zoe Deschanel prove that it works in any age. Zoe is a lively and meaningful choice for any fan of J.D. Salinger. His novel, Franny and Zoe, was published in 1961, though the titular Zoe is a boy. And then finally, our last girl's name, Zora. No, okay. So, I think that will do it for now. I'm going to just read you through the names, the list of names we've made. We've got Adelaide, Elena, Amy, Anya, Athena, Bronwyn, Charlotte, Ava, Fiona, Grace, Hope, Jade, Joy, Cassandra, Kezia, Leah, Livia, Maria, Michaela, Octavia, Patience, Phoenix, Renee, Rose, Savannah, Stephanie, Taylor, Violet, Zoe. So, wow, we took it from a lot more down to a bit of a shorter list, but it's still quite long. I think you're only having one child, right? You don't even know if it's a girl. But that's a good place to start. So I think when we meet next time, then we'll look into the boys, since you don't know the gender. Yes, wonderful. Well, I am looking forward to it. It'll be lovely to spend some more time with you and these lovely baby names. Amir, Amos, Anderson, Andrew. Andrew is one manly man. Strong man is the meaning of his name. Andrew sounds perennially fresh, but he goes way back. It is a nice name, isn't it? Andrew. Hello and welcome back. So excited to continue our journey through 1107 baby names that stand the test of time. Since you don't know what gender your little one is, I guess we'll need boys and girls' names. We have quite a few girls' names here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. 29. So you'll have a bit of narrowing down to do there. But why don't we just dive right in? We'll start with the A boys' names. Wonderful. So we have Arav, Aaron, or Aaron, Abdullah, Abel, Abraham, Ace, as in the deck of cards. Top is Ace. Yeah, it's a bit out there. Adam, very classic. He was the first man according to the Bible. In fact, his name means man, and comes from the Hebrew word for earth, Adama. Adam was in the top 20 in the early 1980s and remains in the top 100. Though it's waning some. Famous Adams include early punk rocker Adam Ant, U2 band member Adam Clayton, goofy comedian Adam Sandler, and early Batman betrayer Adam West. Needless to say, it's a traditional, manly choice. Bit too normal. Addison, Aditya, Adlai, Adolfo, Adonis. You'd need some attitude to wear that name well, I think. Adrian. Adrian is a man from Hatria, the area around the Adriatic coast from Italy to Dalmatia. Roman Emperor Hadrian was responsible for the creation of a gigantic fortified wall running across the width of England, which secured one border of his empire. Hadrian was considered one of the best wisest, and kindest of all the Roman emperors. That the name is close to its female counterpart, Adrian, hasn't hindered its popularity at all. Actors Adrian Brody and Adrian Grenier prove that the name works well for boys. Like Adrian, it is a nice name, isn't it? Adriel, Ahmad, Aiden, Adric, Alan, Albert, Alden, Aldo, Alexander. Very classic. The name of a warrior. Alexander exudes strength and leadership and vitality. Thank you, Alexander the Great, the Macedonian king who grew up to take over much of the known world in the years before the Christian era, is credited with popularizing the name. He became such a legend throughout the world that he remains the first Alexander to leap to people's minds. The name did exist before him. Some speculate that it may have been a title for the goddess Hera, meaning as it does, defender of man. Alexander has never been more popular than it is now, and Alexandra is all the rage for girls. Yeah, you get Alex. Alfonso, Alfred, Ali, Alvaro, Alvin, Amare, Amir, Amos, Anderson, Andrew. Andrew is one manly man. Strong man is the meaning of his name. Andrew sounds perennially fresh, but he goes way back. In the Bible, he was one of Christ's disciples. He also was one of the most beloved saints, patron of fishermen and golfers. The name has been in the top 100 for more than 100 years, and was boosted even further by the birth of England's Prince Andrew in 1960. It is a nice name, isn't it? Andrew. We've got Angel or Angelo, Angus, Anthony, Archibald, Ari, Ariel, Arjun, Armando, Arthur, Arian, Asa, Asher, Ashton, Atticus, August, Austin, Avery, and Axel. Okay, on into our B's. We have Bailey, Baird, Balthazar, Baron, Barrett, Bartholomew, Beau, Beckett, Beckham, Benjamin, classic. The youngest son of the biblical Jacob and Rachel, Benjamin's name means son of the south, referring to his birth in Canaan or possibly son of older father. Once a predominantly Jewish name, with Puritan adoptions back in the day, think Ben Franklin. Now everyone uses it. Here's to Mrs. Robinson for the spike in the name. her sultry drawl of recent college graduate Benjamin Braddock's name in the graduate may have helped turn people onto the name. And the Benji movies of the 1970s about a heroic mutt didn't hurt. Neither did the comic Benny Hill, oddly. It's a good name for distinguished statesman, Israeli PM Netanyahu, inventor and statesman Franklin, British PM Disraeli, United States President Harrison. Note, nickname Ben has become a name itself. Why not give him the real thing and just call him Ben for short? Well, I think it's fine to give a nickname. But you'll put Benjamin. Yeah. But I say do what you want. Bennett, Bentley, Bernard, Blake, Blaze, Boston, it's a cute name, Braden, Bradley, Brady, Brandon. Brandon is an English place name, meaning broom-covered hill. Colonel Brandon was the strong, silent hero of Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility. Marlon Brando remains a model of cool, and his name may have inspired the use of this one. After all these years, and a stint in the top 10 in the 1990s thanks to Beverly Hills 90210, the name still feels cool but not outrageously trendy. Brandon is sturdy and dependable. He shows few signs of being swept under the rug. It is a nice name, isn't it, Brandon? And we have Branson, Braxton, Brendan, Brennan, Brent, Brett, Brian. Brian was a king of Ireland in the 900s, so it makes sense that the Celtic name means noble or exalted. Brian was in the top 10 in the 1970s, during which time Brian's song, a Weeby football movie, and Monty Python's Life of Brian were released. Brian Wilson was one of the Beach Boys, Brian Jones was in the Rolling Stones, and Brian De Palma is a movie director. Brian Gumbel was the Today Show co-host for years. I'm surprised they didn't mention Brian from the Backstreet Boys. It's a nice name, though. It's also got Bryce, Brock, Broderick, Brody, Brogan, Bronson, Brooks, Bruce, Bruno, Byron, into our C names, Caden, Caleb, Callum, Calvin, Camden, Cameron, Cannon. An interesting choice for parents with an artistic bent, I'll say. Carl, Carmelo, Carson, Carter, Casey, Cash, Kaysen, Cassius, Cedric. Cedric was made up by Sir Walter Scott for his 1819 novel Ivanhoe, and was the first name of the pampered child in Little Lord Fauntleroy. The first modern Cedric that leaps to most Americans' minds is the movie actor Cedric the Entertainer. The name has a continental flair, and indeed it's popular in France. It's on the wane in the United States. Makes me think of Cedric Diggory. Caesar, Chad, Chame, Chance, Chandler, Charles, classic, isn't it? Charles is one of the great traditional boys' names, a name for kings, starting most famously in the 700s with Charlemagne, Charles the Great, the legendary Holy Roman Emperor. The name migrated from the continent to England with Mary, Queen of Scots, who chose it for her son, who then passed it down. Charles appears all over the world in nearly every language and in a variety of formats. Famous Czechs include Prince Charles of England, former French President Charles de Gaulle, naturalist Charles Darwin, writer Charles Dickens, and of course Snoopy's pal, Charlie Brown. The name becomes cute as Charlie, rugged or folksy as Chuck, color-popping prep as Chaz, Carlos is the Spanish variation, and Carlo the Italian. Yes, Charles is very, very classic, and you have so many nicknames with it too. Chase, Christian, Christopher, Clarence, Clark, Clay, Clinton, Cody, Cohen, Colby, Cole, Colin, Colt, Connor, Conrad, Cooper, Corbin, Corey, Cornelius, Cortez, Craig, Cruz, Cullen, Curtis, Cyrus. Into our D's. Dakota, Dallas, Dalton, Damien, Dane, Daniel, Dante, Darius. Darius the Great was an ancient Persian king whose name means wealthy. Darius was a visionary leader, launching ambitious construction projects and expanding his empire. The name has been popular in the United States since the 1950s, especially with African American families. Yeah, it is a nice name, isn't it? Darius. Daryl, Darren, Darwin, David. David is one of the heavyweight heroes of the Bible, and his story is filled with daring do. In childhood, he slayed the giant Goliath, wrote poetry and music. Some of the Psalms are said to be his, and tended sheep. In adulthood, he fought for Israel, was exiled, denounced as a traitor, and finally became a mighty, respected king of Israel. His name is believed to mean darling. Did not know that. There have been kings and celebrities of every kind named David, yet the name retains an approachable, everyday quality that some other regal names like Edward and George lack. The name is timeless, trend-resistant, travels well, shall I say, and has lots of nickname possibilities. You like David. Dawson, Dax, Dayton, Dakin, Dean. Trade name, place name, homage. Dean can be a church or university official, an English valley, or a tribute to bad boy screen idol James Dean. This last name turned first name popped up during Dean's career and in the years immediately following his death. can also be an anglicization of the Italian name Dino, as is the case with Dean Martin. Yeah, lovely name, Dean. D'Angelo, Declan, Demetrius, Dennis, Denzel, Derek, Desmond, Devin, Dexter, Diego, Dominic, Donald, Donovan, Dorian, Douglas, Drake, Drew, Duncan, Dustin, Dwayne, Dylan, then into our E's, Eamon, Easton, Eden, Edgar, Edmund, Edward, Edwin, Ephraim, Eli. Eli has stature. Biblical Eli was a judge from the Old Testament, and the name means height. Despite the gravita of the prominence in meaning, Eli sounds perky, bright, and cheerful. It's a nice name, isn't it? Elian, Elijah, Elisha, Elliot, Ellis, Elvis, Emerson, Emilio, Emmanuel, Emmett, Enrique, Enzo, Eric, Ernest, Esteban, Ethan, Eugene, Evan, Everett, Ezekiel, Ezra, and into our F's. Fabian, Felipe, Felix, Fernando, Finley, Finn, Finnegan, Francis, Franklin, Frederick, no F's, okay. G, we have Gabriel, Gail, Gage, Garrett, Gary. Have you heard of Albert Gary? He's to thank for the popularity to this name. He was the industrialist for whom Gary, Indiana was named. That city in turn inspired the stage name of Gary Cooper, whose career led the name to hit the top 10 during the 1950s. Gary is a Scottish place name. Think Glengarry. Gary can also be used as a nickname for the names like Gareth and Garrett. It is nice, but not on your list. Gavin, George, Gerald, Gerardo, German, Giancarlo, Gideon, Gilbert. Always makes me think of Gilbert Blythe. Giovanni, Glenn, Gordon, Grady, Graham, Grant, Grayson, Gregory, Griffin, Guillermo, Gunnar, Gustavo, and then on to our H's. Hamza, name of an uncle of the Prophet Muhammad. Harley, that's cute. Harley means motorcycle. If you want to split hairs, it also means meadow. But the name was made so famous by the Harley-Davidson Motorcycle Company that its pastoral past is long forgotten. The name is now more frequently used by girls than by boys. Harold, Harrison, Harry, Hassan, Hayden, Heath, Hector, Henry, Holden, Houston, Howard, Hudson, Hugh. Hugh is ripe for rediscovery. Europe is already onto it, where Hugos frolic in numbers in the playgrounds in many nations, including France, Spain, Belgium, and Sweden. The name is in the top 10 in those countries. Hugh and his variations mean spirit, and it has been a favorite with the royalty in France and England since the Middle Ages. Heathrub Hugh Jackman may help the name make a comeback in the U.S. Yeah, you seemed... Hugh Jackman got it over the line, didn't he? Humberto, Hunter. That's probably a good place to stop. We're about halfway through the alphabet. Why don't we go get a spot of tea, and then we can rest my voice for a little bit, and then come back and we can do the rest of the alphabet for the boys. Yeah, so far we have Adrian, Alexander, Andrew, Benjamin, Brandon, Brian, Cedric, Charles, Darius, David, Dean, Eli, Harley, and Hugh. Okay, well, let's just go and grab that tea then. Rex. Rex means king in Latin. The name has an old-fashioned appeal with a hint of the West about it, thanks to the similarity to Tex. Not very fashionable now, but don't count it out yet. Has the X Factor exotic letter that modern parents love. Obviously you like it, that you wanted to hear more about it. Okay, so are you ready to continue? Should we just review the boys' names we've got already? We have Adrian, Alexander, Andrew, Benjamin, Brandon, Brian, Cedric, Charles, Darius, David, Dean, Eli, Harley, and Hugh. I think we're going to have quite a few again. We'll have a lot of narrowing down to do. So now into our I names. We have Ian. Yeah, Ian is the Scottish version of John. Ian crossed the pond in 1934 and became a hit. The name once sounded decidedly British, probably because it was so closely associated with English actors Ian Richardson and Ian McKellen, as well as the writer Ian Fleming, whose James Bond series of books and movies surely made American audiences take notice. These days, Ian is more mainstream. You like Ian? Ignacio, Irvin, Isaac, Isaiah, Ishmael, Israel, Ivan, Jabari, Jack. Jack's a nice name, isn't it? Jackson, Jacob. Jacob, the Bible tells us, is the supplanter. The crafty younger twin who tricked his older brother Esau into giving him his birthright. Jacob has successfully supplanted all other names to become number one in the United States since 1999. How did he do it? By having an important history. Jacob is a towering patriarch of Judaism. By appealing to Jews and Christians alike, both groups are using the name with enthusiasm. And by having a forceful but friendly nickname, Jake. It is a nice name, isn't it? We have Jaden, JDL, Jagger, for Mick Jagger, Jamal, James, Jameson, Jared, with two T's on the end, yeah. Jason, Jasper, Javier, Jay, Jefferson, Jeffrey, Jeremiah, that always makes me think of that. Jermaine, Jerome, or Jerry. Jesse, tough, renegade. Jesse makes his own rules and lives by them. The name sounds utterly contemporary, but is from the Bible. Jesse, gift, was David's father. Jesse is an ancestor of Jesus, and the relationship is oft depicted in an art as the tree of Jesse. The Jessies that leap to mind are individualists. Preacher Jesse Jackson, outlaw Jesse James, Olympian Jesse Owens, the Dukes of Hazzard patriarch Uncle Jesse. For some of us, the Rick Springfield song, Jesse's Girl, may leap to mind. You like it, Jesse? Jesus or Jesus, Jet, Walking, Joel, John, Jonah, Jonathan, Jordan, Jorge, Jose, Joseph, Joshua, Josiah, Giovanni, Juan, Judah, Jude, Julian, Junior, Justice. Then into our K's, we have Caden, Kai, Kamari, Cameron with a K, Kane, Kareem, Carson, Keaton, Keegan, Keenan, Keith. Forrest was once so associated with Scotland, you could hear bagpipes and see heather waving in the background as you said it. Now the name is firmly entrenched as a first name, making it hard to remember it started out as a Scottish last name. Famous Keiths include Keith Urban, baseball player Greg Hernandez, actor Keith Carradine, and artist Keith Haring. No nicknames here. I like Keith. Have Kellen, Kelvin, Kendall, Kendrick, Kenneth, Kenyon, Kevin, Khalil, Kieran. Nice name, Kieran, isn't it? Kieran rode into town on the latest wave of Irish names arriving in the 1990s. The name means black and communicates that mom and dad want to get in touch with their Emerald Isle ancestry. Other Anne and N names like Aiden and Jaden flood the church, look for this one to rise with the tides. Like Kieran. Killian, King, Kingston, Kobe, Krish, Christian, Christopher, Kyle. Now into our L's. Lamar, Lance, Landon, Lane. I have heard of Lane actually. Just wasn't hitting me that way. Langston, makes me think of Langston Hughes. Lars, Lawrence, Lawson, Leighton, Lazarus, Leandro, Lee, Leland, Leo, Leonardo, Leroy, Levi, Lewis, Lewis, Liam, Liam is a nice name. Liam is William with a Gaelic brogue, along with the likes of Finn, Kieran, Declan. Liam is on the crest of the latest wave of Irish names crashing down on third and fourth generation parents who want to seize their ancestry. Actor Liam Neeson has helped pave the way to the mainstream. Like Liam. Do you have Irish ancestry? Lincoln, Lloyd, Logan, London, Lorenzo, Louis, Louis, Lucian, Luke, Lyric, then into our M's. Madden, Maddox, Malachi, Malcolm, Malik, Manuel, Marcel, Mario, Mark. The evangelist was one of Jesus's apostles. He wrote the Gospel, the New Testament, and ended up in Alexandria, where he founded the Coptic Church. Saint Mark's remains were carried to Venice upon his death, and he became the patron saint of that city. Think Piazza San Marco. He, like Saint Jerome, is associated with the lion. The name itself may come from Mars, the Roman god of war. Marcus is the Latin version of the name. This is a no-nonsense, direct, and I can't believe it says this, on the mark. Very poor pun. It's a good classic name, isn't it? Very dependable. Marley, Marlin, Marquis, Marshall, Martin, Marvin, Mason, Matthew. Like your Bible names. Matthew was an apostle, evangelist, and author of the Gospel of the Bible. The name means gift of God and is almost the same as Jonathan. The name has the same meaning, God has given, and are composed of the same Hebrew syllables presented in reverse order. Matthew has spawned many variations throughout the ages and has been beloved by Jews and Christians throughout the world. It was at the tippity top of the charts just a few years ago. You like Matthew? Got Maurice, Maverick, Max, classic, Maxwell, Melvin, Memphis, Messiah, Micah, Michael, Miles, Milo, Milton, Mitchell, Mohammed, Morgan, and Moses. Then into our ends. Nash, Nasir, Nathaniel, Nehemiah, Neil, Nelson, Nicholas is nice. Nicholas means victory of the people, comes from Greece, where Saint Nicholas is the patron. Of course, this saint is revered by children well beyond Greece, and Russia, where he is also patron. He is also known as Santa Claus. Famous Nicholases include actors Nicolas Cage and Nick Nolte, Dickens Nicholas Nickleby, scientist Nicolaus Copernicus, and Italian philosopher Niccolò Machiavelli. The name is a timeless classic, one sure to make any little boy jolly. Like Nicholas, it has a cute air to it, I feel, and then it also works for an adult, so I think it's a great name like that. Nigel, Nikhil, Noah, Noel, Nolan. In our O's, we have Octavio, Oliver, Omar, Orion, Orlando, Oscar, Owen. Into our P's, we have Parker, Patrick. Saint Patrick is the patron saint of Ireland, credited with converting the island to Christianity in the 5th century. He was a Roman citizen, and his name means patrician, which suggests a noble birth. The name is so closely associated with Ireland that Paddy has become a rude way to refer to an Irish person. Noteworthy Patricks include Neil Patrick Harris, Patrick Dempsey, Patrick Stewart, and Patrick Swayze. Basketball player Patrick Ewing, golfer Patrick Harrington, and American patriot Patrick Henry, who famously said, "Give me liberty or give me death." Many Patricks masquerade as Pat Sajak, jazz musician Pat Metheny, and writer Pat Conroy. It's another sturdy name, Patrick. Paul, Paxton, Peter, Peyton, Philip, Phoenix, Porter, Pranav, Preston. Into our Q's we have Quentin, Quincy, and Quinn. Not usually too many in Q. With R we have Ralph, Ramiro, Ramon, Randall, Randy, Raphael, Rashad, Raoul, Raymond, Regan, Reed, Reginald, Remington, Renee, Rex, actor Rex Harrison, singer Rex Smith, film critic Rex Reed, Nero Wolf creator Rex Stout, Oedipus Rex, and of course, Tyrannosaurus Rex. Rex means king in Latin. The name has an old-fashioned appeal with a hint of the West about it thanks to the similarity to Tex. It's not very fashionable now, but don't count it out yet. It's got that X-Factor exotic letter that modern parents love. Which includes you, apparently. Rex. Rhett. Very southern name. Reese. Richard. Rishi. River. Robert. Robert means famous. It's an old German name that migrated to France and then over to England in the Norman Conquest. William the Conqueror's father was Robert. The name is beloved in Scotland for the poet Robert Burns and especially Robert Bruce, who liberated the country from England in the 1300s. Robert is one of the only bird names that has remained consistently popular. He is used by many ethnic groups and has a bountiful variety of nicknames. The name Roderick, while not a strict variation of the name, means the same thing and is very similar in sound. The Spanish version of the name Rodrigo is well liked and a clever way to pass on the last name Rodriguez. Like Robert. Got Rocco. Rodney. Rodney was the last name of a British naval hero from the American Revolution. The name used to be that of old codgers like Rodney Dangerfield and actor Rod Steiger. Now there are many athletes keeping the name afloat, including basketball player Rodney Carney, baseball player Fernando Rodney, and football player Rodney Peete. There's also a man who was attacked by a shark who survived named Rodney Fox. Just a little side note there. Got Roger, Roman, Romeo, Ronald, Ronan, Rory, Russ, Rowan. Rowan is the red one, as well as a tree with red berries. Girls use the name in almost equal numbers as boys, which make it a less appealing choice for boys. But the variation Rohan, R-O-H-A-N, looks more masculine to some eyes. The most notable male example of the name is British comedian Rowan Atkinson of Mr. Bean fame. I liked it until you thought of Rowan Atkinson. Okay. You can see you're not a big fan of Mr. Bean. Got Roy, Reuben, Rudy, Russell, very classic, Ryan, Ryder, Riker. Into our S's we have Sage, Salvador, Samir, Samson, Samuel. Samuel means God has heard. It's a perennial whose popularity dims occasionally but always brightens again. Right now, Samuel is flourishing. This old-fashioned name was considered stodgy in the 1960s, but we love it now for its biblical tradition. Samuel was a prophet and judge. Its historical precedents from literature, Samuel Coleridge, Samuel Beckett, Samuel Johnson, and its humble, happy-go-lucky nickname, Sam. You just like Sam. Okay. Santiago, Santos, Saul, Sawyer, Scott, Seamus, Sean, Sebastian, Sergio, Seth, Shane, Sheldon, Sydney, Silas, Simon, Sincere, Skylar, Solomon, Sonny, Soren, Spencer, Stanley, Stephen, Sterling, Sullivan. Into the T's is Talon, Tanner, Tate, Taylor, Tegan, Terrell, Terrence, Terry, Thaddeus, Theodore, Thomas, Tiburon. Just see if you like any T names. Timothy, you don't have to. Titus, Tobias, Todd, Tony, Trace, Travis, Trent, Trevor, Tristan? Got one. Tristan is the title hero of the Celtic medieval legend of Tristan and Isolde. Tristan was meant to escort Princess Isolde to her wedding. Instead, he falls in love with her and she with him, and eventually they die as a result of tragic love. The name became popular in the United States thanks in large part to a handsome soap opera actor, Tristan Rogers, who played Robert Scorpio on General Hospital in the early 80s. The name is chosen for the romantic but still manly sound and is often an alternative to the less subtle Christian. Like Tristan. Troy, Tucker, Ty, it's cute, Tyler, Tyrone, Tyson. U names, we've got Ulysses, Uriah. V's, we've got Valentine, Vance, Vaughn, Victor, Vincent. W's, we've got Wade, Walker, Walter, Warren, Waylon, Wayne, Wesley, Weston, William. If you're looking for a highbrow classic, regal but not tacky name, your search is over. William the Conqueror, William Shakespeare, William Wordsworth, Bill Clinton, Prince William, Will Smith. The list of great Williams goes on and on. The name is distinguished, meaning staunch protector, and the variations and nicknames are numerous. You can't go wrong with this superior choice. Like William. It's a nice name. Got Wilson, the son of Will. Winston, Wyatt. For X, we've got Xavier or Xavier. Y, Yael, Yahir, Yandel, Yusuf. Z, we've got Zachary, Zaid, Zaire, Zane, Zayden, and Zion. Okay, so let's see what we've got for your boys' names. We added on Jacob, Jesse, Keith, Kieran, Liam, Mark, Matthew, Nicholas, Patrick, Rex, Robert, Sam, Tristan, and William. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Slightly less, I think a couple less, was it 31 girls' names you had? So, slightly easier, but you're going to have a lot of narrowing down to do. So I will give you this list to take back home with you. Just, give it a think. Gotta narrow it down a bit more. You can't give your kid 30 names. You can sometimes get away with 2, 3, 4 maybe, but not 30. Unless you really want to go crazy. Oh no, it's been my pleasure. That's what I'm here for. Just go through it, make it nice and easy, and I'm sure whatever you name your child, they'll be lovely because they're